الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
إن الحمد لله نحمده تعالى ونستغفره ونستهديه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا فصلوات الله وسلامه عليه. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him because He is worthy of praise. And we see His worthiness of praise through His names and attributes which manifest themselves in the natural world around us. And therefore we love Him for that. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from the evils within ourselves and the evil consequences of our misdeeds. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send His peace and blessings upon His last and final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and to His family and His companions and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. Ameen. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. And we remind one another to be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to embody this concept of taqwa, in which a person constantly remembers Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and therefore makes decisions based on what pleases Him, abstains from that which displeases Him, and know that the one who embodies this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give them steadfastness and blessings in this life. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among them. Ameen. We live in a world that pursues instant gratification. And for parents, you see this in your children. And more as the world becomes more beautified, as the world becomes more about instant gratification, the quickest internet speed, the quickest form of transportation. No longer, we don't want to wait in lines with Amazon and online grocery shopping. We don't want to wait. Our bodies, our hearts, our minds are becoming accustomed to instant gratification. And therefore, if we ever have to wait for something, we become uneasy. And this mentality, this lifestyle is showing its negative aspects. For example, in marriage, divorce is very high. It's very hard for young individuals in their mid-late 20s to stay married because they are accustomed to what? I need my reward now. And marriage is not about that. A successful marriage doesn't become successful overnight. When you look at, for example, video games, it's all about playing now. I'm excited now. If you look at movies, how they have changed, they're having more and more trouble trying to capture the minds of people. You cannot just stay a story. It's too boring. And so on and so forth. This is instant gratification. But when you look at the world, when you look at the Quran from a spiritual lens, when you add Allah, God, to the equation of understanding the world around you, you find a different rhetoric. So when you look at our system of law, the Sharia, you find that that which is prohibited tends to be actions that bring or aim towards instant gratification. So drinking is forbidden, because drinking, you enjoy it right away. Fornication is forbidden, because it's instant, but it is a form of instant gratification. Whereas marriage is what's promoted, and it's not instant gratification, you need to work towards it. And so on and so forth. When you look at the creation, the natural world around you, what do you find? You find that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the universe in 6 days, when He could have created it in one. Why? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala formed the natural universe around us, science says the universe has existed for 14 billion years until it became where we are right now. Why that long? When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam, some narrations say that he was a lifeless body for many, many years. For a long period of time before He blew the soul in Adam alayhi salam. Why? When you look at the development of the fetus in the womb of the mother, it's 9 months. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all He needs to do is say, kun, be, and it will be. إِنَّمَا قَوْلُنَا لِشَيْءٍ إِذَا أَرَدْنَاهُ أَن نَقُولَ لَهُ كُن فَيَكُن. Our command, if we decree it, if we want something to become, all we need to do is say be, and it is. So the question is, why did Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala do all of this? Why does it take years for a tree to grow? Why does it take a season for fruits to ripen? Why is that? If we want to understand this, we need to take a step back and understand why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the creation in the first place. Why is that? And we know the Quran is clear about it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes it explicit because it tells us our purpose, why we are here, so that we can properly understand the world and what goes on around us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He created the creation, why did He do it? He said, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسِ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. That I did not create humans or jinn except to worship Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He sent the messengers with the books, what was the message? What was the thesis of every divine book? What was the role of every single prophet from Adam to Noah, to Nuh alayhi salam, to Ibrahim, Abraham, to Moses, to Jesus, to our last and final messenger? It was all the same. U'budullah ma lakum min ilahin ghayruh. Worship Allah. You have no Lord besides Him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the end of Surah At-Talaq, Allahu alladhi khalaqa sab'a samawat ومن الأرض مثلهن يتنزل الأمر بينهن لتعلموا أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the end of the 56th chapter, I believe, He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created the seven heavens, and He created the earth, and He sent down His decree, His command, meaning revelation, so that you know, O individual, O human being, so that you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His knowledge encompasses all things, and His authority encompasses all things. In other words, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created this world and the system that we live in so that you get to know Him. And there's something important about that. If our purpose in life is to have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in order to have a strong relationship, what is a key element of that? Trust. In order to have a successful relationship with anyone, whether it's marital, whether it's friendship, whether it's business, trust is key. And in order for us to have a strong relationship with God, we need to trust Him. And this is what we call tawakkul. This concept of tawakkul, depending, trusting upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to give an example of this, where we need to be, the story of Hajar and her son Ismail, when Abraham left them in the desert. We all know this. And he turned away and started walking without saying a word. What did she say? What are you doing? What are you doing? But she recognized that Abraham is a prophet. He does not do things randomly. So it clicked in her mind, it must be Allah who told him to do this. So she said, Allahu amaraka bihada? Is it God who told you to do this? So Ibrahim a.s. turned around and said yes. And what did she say? Her famous words, her beautiful words that serve as a role model for us. She said, فَلَنْ يُضَيِّعْنِي اللَّهُ سُبْحَانَهُ وَتَعَالَى أَبَدًا. Allah will not leave me. How did she reach that? She had the tawakkul. We understand this. How did she get her iman to that level? What did she do? Well, one way we can understand this is by understanding why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made such a time frame for His creation. Why does it take so long for a plant to grow, for a fruit to ripen, for a baby to grow in the womb? Why is that? Why? Because when we do that, when He did that subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are able to observe how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala creates. We are able to study the natural world around us. Whereas if He were to say be and it is, we wouldn't have that opportunity. So when we plant a seed, our role is to do what? Split that, make the dirt viable, put that seed, and the rest is on who? It's on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in the meantime, we get to observe how this is growing. We get to observe the infant as it grows from stage to stage, starting off with being incapable of moving its own hands at free will, to becoming an adult on its 2 feet, talking, speaking, debating, discussing. We get to observe that, and then we ask the question, how is that happening? And we start studying, and we see what? How magnificent Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is. How marvelous He is. Because anyone who delves deep into these sciences, they can't but say, Subhanallah. The one who created this, the one who put this in place, is worthy of being worshipped. So by having this time frame, we are able to strengthen our trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by seeing how He works, and then taking that and applying it in our lives. And therefore we know that when we start a business, it's not going to flourish overnight. We remember how Allah makes a tree grow, and then we remember how He will help us make our business grow. It reminds us that when we get married, love isn't going to flourish and be strong the first night. But rather, when we work towards it, the love will build and become strong, and it will flourish, and we will reap the fruits. By observing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creation, and realizing that our role in the natural world is so limited. When we plant a seed, all we do is plant it. Now today we have abundance of water, alhamdulillah, but back then they didn't. And therefore they depended on what? Rain. They realize, and we realize when we look how little of a role we play and how much we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring about these results. By observing that, by waiting for the tree to grow, what else can we do except call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to say, oh Allah, bring the rain for this to grow. When we let our kids go to school and we're no longer, supervising them, and we feel less of a role in their lives, what do we need to do? Go to Allah and say, oh Allah, protect them. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the world in such a manner that it requires time for results to come about, it teaches us an important lesson. It shows us how dependent and how much we are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know, my dear brothers and sisters, that the foundation of worship of Allah is feeling that you need Him. That is it. And therefore, when you make dua to Allah with this feeling of what's called iftiqar, needing Allah, I recognize that I am dependent on you, I need you, the answer becomes very strong. Because that is the epitome of worship, recognizing your need for the ultimate being, subhanahu wa ta'ala. By creating this world in this manner where things require time, it builds compassion in our hearts. And to give an example, look at the prophets, all of the prophets, especially those who had to call their people to faith, to belief, to monotheism. You find that they were extremely patient with their people, and they were extremely compassionate. So when the angels went to Ibrahim alayhi salam and said, we are going to punish the people of Lut, Sodom and Gomorrah, what was Ibrahim's response? He said, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, يُجَادِلُنَا فِي قَوْمِ لُوط. He started telling him, give them some more time. Maybe they'll change. Things will happen overnight. By acknowledging that the results come about with time, it motivated the prophets to be patient and to have the compassion and never be too hasty against those who harm them. So Ibrahim alayhi salam was trying to defend the people of Lut, Sodom and Gomorrah, and try to postpone the punishment, saying that, well, they can change. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala praised him for that. When you look at Ishaq, Isaac, and what his children did when they kidnapped Yusuf alayhi salam, Joseph, he did not say, may Allah curse you, may He punish you. He realized things come about with time. Things become to better with time, especially those who worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And therefore he was able to embody patience in a time where it was difficult. This is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or at least one of the wisdoms why He created the world that it is today. So that we can learn how to depend upon Him, and how to rely upon Him, and how to trust Him. And with that, we are able to build a strong, healthy, beautiful, fruitful, peaceful, tranquil relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now the question is, how do we reach that level? How do we become like Hajar, who was able to say, in the most dire of situations, in a desert, without food or water, with an infant, was she able to say, with certainty, Allah will take care of me? This is the tawakkul. This is the faith that we want. We know what tawakkul is, we've heard about it. We know what patience is, we've heard about it. We know what gratitude is, we heard about it. We want to deepen it. We want to deepen it to the extent where we become like Hajar alayhi salatu wassalam, where when we are put in a situation, these concepts come to light. We start reaping the fruits of these concepts. How do we reach that? And no doubt there's more than one way. There are plenty of ways. But I will leave us with one. The way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Surah Al-Duha. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أَلَمْ يَجِدِكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى. And this chapter, the context behind it, there was a period of time where revelation stopped coming to the Prophet ﷺ. And the pagans of Quraysh, of Mecca, saw this. They observed this. And they said, oh look, Muhammad's God is upset with him. He left him. He left him, and the God is upset with him. And this bothered the Prophet ﷺ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala counseled him and helped him develop a very important tool that we can use for tawakkul. And that is, he tells him, were you not an orphan and we gave you shelter with your grandfather first and then your uncle? Were you not poor and we gave you financial stability through your wife Khadija, who was a successful businesswoman? And were you not unaware of spiritual realities? You didn't know much about God and we taught you. In other words, Ya Rasulullah, O Messenger of God, did I not take care of you before? Did I not take care of you before? Of course you did. Of course subhanahu wa ta'ala did. He gave you shelter, He gave you wealth, and He gave you knowledge. Do you think He gave you that before only to say, I'm not going to take care of you anymore? Meaning the one who has taken care of you before will always take care of you. And therefore, my dear brothers and sisters, pay attention to this. In order for us to develop the trust in God, we need to reflect on our past. We need to look at our past and find the incidents, find the scenarios, the situations where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped us get out of a hardship, helped us succeed. And we all have examples, no matter who you are, what your situation is. For the youth, did you not struggle with your tests, but you studied and you passed? Connect that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who helped you, who gave you the brain to embody and to understand all that you learned. Oh, for the one who went through a financial hardship, did Allah not get you out of that? So remember that He'll get you out of other situations. Oh, you who are ill and were healed from the illness, as Allah has taken care of you before, He will always take care of you. And this is also what Allah told Musa ﷺ in Surah Taha, when He made the beautiful dua, رَبِّ اشْرَحْ لِي صَدْرِي وَيَسِّرْ لِي أَمْرِي وَاحْلُلْ عُقْدَةً مِّن لِسَانِي يَفْقَهُوا قَوْلِي. When Moses said this dua, and he asked Allah before going to the Pharaoh, expand my heart and give me the strength to deal with this. Allah tells him, I have answered your supplication, and this is not the first time I have bestowed you with my blessings. And then he goes about for several verses reminding him of how He has taken care of him before. To tell him, O Moses, I have always taken care of you before. I will always have your back. Know that. And therefore, in order for us to develop tawakkul, strong tawakkul, fruitful dependence upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we must go to our past and find how Allah has helped us. And if you think once and you don't find anything, think again. If you don't find anything, think again. Because part of developing your iman, your faith, is to be patient and constantly work at it. And you'll find the more effort you put, the more Allah will start helping you with that. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala. Another way of improving and strengthening your dependence upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is by making dua. I don't mean just saying, "Oh Allah, make me among those who depend upon you." I mean following the guidance of Aisha radiallahu anha, who said, ask God even if it's for a shoelace. And I mentioned this more than once in my khutbah, but it is important. And we need to embody this and apply it in our lives. It's not about the shoelace. It's not about the ability to attain a shoelace. It's about engaging with the one who you're asking. It's about reminding yourself that you have a God above 7 heavens who hears you, who sees you, and who cares about you. And the more you make dua for the things you need, whether it's to be to pass your tests, whether it's to be to find a good job, whether it's for your business to become more successful, whether it's for finding a spouse, whatever it may be, make dua. Because the more dua you make, the more answers you will see in your lives. And the more you'll be able to say, Allah has always answered my dua. He will always take care of me. If I can ask the brothers and sisters to please move forward before I conclude. So make dua. It will help you see how Allah is there to take care of you. Before we conclude, we have some special guests today. We'd like to welcome our esteemed guests from the Mission Basilica in San Juan Capistrano. Mission Basilica is a Catholic parish in the Diocese of Orange in California. We have 9 ladies and 3 gentlemen, including Sister Louise Maisick and Sister Martha Ann Fitzpatrick from the Sisters of St. Joseph of Orange. We thank you. We thank you all for joining us, and we thank Miss Figueroa, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that, for making this visit possible. To our guests, this is a mosque. This is, as the Quran describes, our book describes, a place where God is worshipped, His name is revered, and His name is remembered. This is a place that worships God based on monotheism. We welcome you to our facility, and we thank you for taking the time to come out. We have a few announcements. We encourage you all to help the masjid grow. We have, alhamdulillah, we're making progress bit by bit. So please help us continue to make progress, especially with Ramadan coming, with summer coming. We hope to have a well-structured summer program for our youth, so please help us out by donating. Make dua for Brother Muhammad, it's not written here, but Brother Muhammad, who, I don't know if he's ill or passed away, but either way, a brother has asked me to make dua for him. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help him if he is ill and if he has passed away, to forgive his sins and to overlook any shortcomings and accept his good deeds. Our annual Muslim Singles event is coming up on Sunday, March 17th at the Mission Viejo Community Center for ages 22 to 45. It will be moderated by myself and Brother Omar Ashmawi. Registration is required, so please visit the office or register online. Pillars Academy parents are selling tickets outside for the school's carnival on March 30th from 11 to 4. The ticket includes entrance, lunch, popcorn, cotton candy, bounce house, and games. If you have a car that we'd like to donate, Uplift Charity is looking for a car to help one of the, I believe, refugee families. If you can help them out with that, then know that every mile that they go, that will be in your account of good deeds. Access California Mental Health Conference is the Access California Mental Health Conference, titled The Annual Peace of Mind, is on April 14th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Delhi Center in Santa Ana. No cost. Register today to guarantee your seat. We encourage you all to attend that. Access California does a lot of good work when it comes to mental health issues, so please do join them and support them. OCIF's Friday Quran class is starting at 4:30, my OC at 6. Inshallah, with the time change next week, everything will shift 1 hour. So the Quran program next week, not today, next week will be at 5:30, and my OC will be at 7 o'clock. Inshallah, we will announce that. Likewise, the Sahaba Tuesday series coming up. Our next speaker will be Brother Omar Ashmawi. And with the time change, it will be between Maghrib and Isha. So the Tuesday Sahaba series will be between Maghrib and Isha, inshallah. And as I just announced, remember to change your clocks on Sunday. Fajr will be at 6:15, and Isha prayer will be at 8:30. Jazakumullah khair. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات يا رب العالمين. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us and to grant us forgiveness and to grant us compassion, His compassion. And we ask Him to help us build dependence upon Him and trust in Him. Ameen. Wa